tuned to the wrong station if you are hearing my voice. This is the stadium. My name is Ted, and as usual, I am here with Buchi, who is actually sporting a very beautiful shirt. Buchi used to buy these shirts at Nyanya under bridge, but things have changed. The country is good for Buchi.
I told you, my guy is still under the bridge. Don't listen to Ted, though. I'm still your number one. All those stock shirts, you know, the ones that you first bail. I'm a big supporter of those.
It's a beautiful evening. It has been a very slow day, I would say. Quite slow for me. I started the day very, very early, and it's tea evening. I wish now would have been like 10 p.m. so that somebody can.
You're not the only one.
You know?
You're not the only one.
You are going to be on AT midnight, so
yep.
I don't envy you at all.
The night shift, man.
All right, let's talk sports. Okoli, Buchi, our brother there, Lawrence Okoli is going to fight the fight we spoke about some weeks ago. The time has finally come. He's going to fight Isaac Chamberlain, and the fight is going to be this weekend.
Yes,
at the O2 Arena. It's on Saturday night. It's a fight that we have to watch.
Definitely.
They had a press conference today, and there was a bus stop. The security had to step in to separate Lawrence from Chamberlain.
Of course.
Some exchange of words. We just saw Mikan a few days ago
splashing water
on his opponents, and today Lawrence and Chamberlain almost took it out before getting onto the ring. AJ has been there to give him all his support, the Nigerian connection, and we're proud to say that yes,
Niger boys connect.
Even though they are fighting for in another country.
I mean, they're British fighters of Nigerian descent.
They do something,
but then when they lose, they'll be Nigerian fighters. They'll be solely resident in England.
So the fight is coming up this weekend. Are you expecting? Lawrence has not actually his career fight professionally. He has not lost a fight.
No, he hasn't. No.
And Isaac Chamberlain is another guy in that weight category that is a very heavy puncher. Slightly taller than Lawrence, but Lawrence is, he's shorter than Isaac. The length of his arms is not as long as that. Tyson has proven to us that height is not anything.
It's not. It's exactly.
Height can give you an advantage, but a shorter person can also take down. The Iron Mike Tyson took down a lot of heavy, taller boxers during his career. So height is not a problem here.
Height isn't an issue at all.
You can punch faster, defend yourself well, and go aggressively. Fence if you decide, or having accurate timing, you are there. Are you looking at any surprise in this fight? Do you think Lawrence will have it?
Well, I'm going to say because of I'm a Nigerian, yes, I'll support them, but I don't know. It's going to be a tough fight. It's really going to be a tough fight. I mean, at the press conference, we could see the heated exchange, and of course, to rile up the crowd, of course, to get excited about this bout. Anthony Joshua was there. Both him and Lawrence are, they're both being their agent, their promoter. They're both under Eddie Hearn. So, of course, he's going to be there for the Niger connection and the Eddie Hearn connection. Now, of course, AJ is putting his money behind Okoli, but it's going to be a tough fight. I want to rule it in favor of Okoli, but like you said, whenever it comes to taller boxers, usually taller boxers tend to have that advantage because of reach. A shorter boxer has to step in under the blows and actually get in. You have to get up close, and when you're up close like that, that's the only way you can actually take the advantage of a taller opponent. But then, what do you have to sacrifice to get there? You're gonna have to eat some big blows to actually get in there to do what you need to do. It's going to be a tough fight. It's going to be a tough fight. Both fighters are outstanding. Okoli is undefeated. Let's see if he can hold up that streak.
All right, we'll be looking out for that fight on Saturday. I hope we'll have a very good television broadcast of that fight, because it's quite big. Or probably we might just go online on one of these social media trending apps to see what we can see, what will come up of that fight between Okoli and Chamberlain. Buchi, Formula One adjustments. Liberty Media bringing a lot of adjustments to Formula One. They're talking about schedule, changing the broadcast timing to make sure that all races will be taking place in the afternoon by 3:10 p.m. The problem Liberty Media is having is the fact that over time, most television houses start the broadcast with the race itself.
Of course.
So sometimes we even miss out the beauty. The grid girls,
all the pre-match or pre-race analysis, events, things like that. Kudos to Liberty Media for this. I mean, you know, for a long time with the Eccleston era, they just you know, Formula One just seemed to be stuck. It just seemed to be stuck in a rut, and it seemed to be an exclusive club. But Liberty Media is doing a lot of innovations. I think with something like this, especially, you know, at least media stations will be able to catch pre-Grand Prix activities, and there are a lot of activities. You know, it was only you know, we saw a few of that with the closing of last season with the E series, with the Formula E series
after the main race.
Exactly.
Broadcasters talked back there in Abu Dhabi to show off what was happening in the E
exactly.
Series. It was quite intensive.
It was quite intensive. You know, the E series, you had competitions, you had you know, activities going on the track, different things to appeal, to give Formula One that appeal. I mean, I kudos to Liberty Media for doing this, because NASCAR, Indy 500 and NASCAR have had this thing locked. They have a well-oiled machine, and I think Liberty Media is just trying to tap into what the Indy 500 and Formula One, and NASCAR are already doing, because there are a lot of activities pre-race and post-race.
NASCAR, the race itself looks boring because it's just an all left-turn drive.
It's exactly. It's, you know, it's more of an endurance. You know, the left turn, but then there's a lot of activities going on. And also a lot of room for sponsorship with these activities, which is what Liberty Media is also looking to opening up the playing field, and a lot of sponsorship, you know, potential sponsorship activities. You could have a mini, you know, you can have sometimes they have this mini go-kart race that they do just before NASCAR with children, you know, which of course attracts big money and also big spenders too. These are things that I think Liberty is looking towards, expanding this thing and making it more inclusive and wholesome to attract more supporters and more people towards the sport of Formula One.
To attract more people into the sport of Formula One, and that is exactly what South Korea is doing with the hosting of the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics. Teams have started arriving. North Korea has sent its own powerful delegation and was welcomed by the IOC. Russia has cleared some of the athletes that were banned. The ban has been overturned by Court of Arbitration for Sports. But some athletes in Russia say they have not received invitation to come to Pyeongchang to compete as neutral and independent athletes under the Olympic flag directly. And so they are opting out of the competition as a protest against what the IOC is doing. But people are of the opinion that overturning the ban of some of these athletes may have some kind of implication on doping in the future. I don't know exactly what they mean, but it appears the Court of Arbitration has looked into the case again and checked the samples. Maybe they have discovered that some of this doping, as was arranged by the state, by Russia as a government, they said, may have been forced on these athletes. It wasn't their will to do this, but the country wanted them to perform as Sochi, the last Olympics, and to win at all costs. That's why they got all those medals. Some of the medals have been received. So some countries have been upgraded from fourth to bronze or to silver.
So even to gold, even exactly.
England bobsleigh team is part of that. They are being upgraded to bronze now since the ban has been placed on these athletes. But going forward, what's the implication of this overturning the ban?
I think
they had already prepared their minds that this
exactly. I mean, the IOC are saying one thing, and the Court of Arbitration, that's the CAS, are saying another thing.
Yes.
IOC are saying overturning this ban will cause a serious dent in the fight against doping, and the Court of Arbitration actually came out to say that some of the evidence against these 28 athletes who have been cleared was insufficient. So, but I think you have to see the aisle on both sides. I mean, the whole point of convicting somebody is for them to prove themselves whether I mean, everybody is innocent until proven guilty. Have the opportunity to prove your case, to prove yourself that maybe you weren't it wasn't your fault, or you weren't a subject, or maybe even the charges against you are false.
Yeah, exactly.
You have the right to prove yourself, and it's these athletes so far, according to the Court of Arbitration, who of course IOC, when placing these bans, of course, the court, they have the right to appeal.
Yes.
Court of Arbitration has seen that the evidence isn't sufficient, therefore allowing them to compete.
And now it's going outside sports because the IOC is considering taking this case to the Swiss Federal Tribunal.
Yes, they want to go higher.
Yes, higher. It's going to become a very full-blown case. I know that in football, cases concerning athletes in football are never tried outside the Court of Arbitration for sports.
True.
Not tried in a civil court. But the IOC here is taking it higher. That is a gross violation of the rules.
It is.
So the CAS cannot give this kind of judgment because it affects the IOC's standings.
Exactly. It affects also its own credibility as well.
Does Russia have a hand in this still?
Well,
the Court of Arbitration?
I mean, this is the same Russia that had a ministry of doping, so it's a very possible thing. We've seen corruption in FIFA. I don't see why we won't see. I'm not saying that there is corruption there, but I'm not saying there isn't the absence of it at some point. But I think I want to agree with the IOC in this. I mean, but then you also have to consider the athletes. Some of these athletes didn't have a choice. Some of these athletes were being forced. Some of these athletes, it was government sponsored. They just, went along with their government as loyal citizens, representatives of their country. Now, I feel it's Russia that should be punished, not the athletes, not so much.
That's why the name of Russia is in the news, being disgraced that their country is not participating.
Exactly.
As a country
is not exactly. I think what it should be is, yes, the country has been banned, and that is the main lesson. Now the IOC and the Court of Arbitration should now take each athlete as an individual, stand alone, monitor, check him. Now, if that athlete now still test positive, or then that means it's not a country thing, it's an athlete thing, and then you punish the athlete as that's when due. But let the ban still stay on Russia. I mean, this should serve to other countries who feel that engaging in this kind of practice is the right way or the thing to do. Let it stand as a ban. I agree with the IOC on that. But the individual themselves should be given the chance to prove themselves right or clean or not. Let them be given that chance, because in the end it's about individual performances. These are the things that we watch the Olympics for. We want to watch an athlete using his own sweat and merit to break a record, to win a gold medal. He should not be judged based on the actions of his country.
A lot of money, I swear.
Exactly.
Sponsors will not be disgraced. Brands will identify with you and all that. Still talking Olympics, summer Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang. Nigeria's bobsleigh team, the trio of Ngozi, Akoma, and Shehu have arrived in Nigeria, Buchi. And visa was there on hand to welcome them, according to reports contained as a star print of these sports. That visa was there to receive them. But then other people too, all of a sudden, are identifying with the bobsleigh team. When they struggled and qualified on their own, there was no support, nobody knows. Suddenly we have a federation for bobsled.
That's true.
That will travel to Pyeongchang.
They'll travel and claim that there's been plans all along. They've been
we helped them.
We helped them. We've been supporting them. We've been in existence since 1922. It's ridiculous. I mean, but then it's sort of like it's the same thing. When you have success attracts everybody around you. Failure, chases everyone away from you. Now these three girls, I'm pretty sure at some point, I mean, it just reminds me of we had an Olympic rower, the first Nigerian girl, I think it was in Brazil. She was representing herself. She was I think she's on her own, independent. On her own, representing herself.
Was the Nigerian flag at the side of her boat.
Exactly.
Drawn by the side.
She wore her green, white, and green. She did it herself on her own. I think she's a Stanford grad. She took time off school to do this sport to represent her country. Now these three girls have done the same thing to do this, to be the first African team
by a foreign company.
Supported by Visa saw the potential and gave them the support, and all of a sudden now all of us show up. Now, if these girls win a medal, you'll hear some speech, and some of our nice and respectable dignitaries will show up and then be like, "Oh yes,
I'm sure that
we did everything."
They will come out to talk when they return from Sochi.
Definitely.
The games will start on the 9th and end on the 25th of this month, so it's going to be an intensive thing. On the stadium here, we'll give you an update of every sport as it takes place there in Pyeongchang, sports that you love to watch. On that note, to take a very short break for call to prayer for our Muslim brethren, and then we'll come back. We'll launch straight into the world of football. What happened yesterday? Stamford Bridge. Wembley. What happened to Arsenal in 1945 happened to Chelsea and Manchester United. What is happening in England? Was the transfer too heavy for some teams to cope with? I don't know. We'll come back, we'll talk about that. You tell us a game that inspired you most yesterday. Don't go away. Stay with us. Broadcasting, and this is the stadium. My name is Ted, and as well as it used to be before, and it will be forever to come, I am here with Buchi, the one and only. Buchi, before we went on the break, we spoke about Pyeongchang. Now let's talk about Morocco 2018. At last, the Chan Eagles made it to the finals.
Definitely.
By struggling and defeating hard-fighting Sudan.
Yes.
The Sudanese gave us a game. It was a very huge test. Unfortunately, the captain Ikechukwu got injured. The very early minutes of the game and had to be stretched off. We're monitoring the situation to see if he's fit enough to play in the finals against the host nation Morocco. How did you see the game yesterday? The Sudanese played as if that was a final.
They played.
That goal.
We were lucky to get that goal. They played with everything.
First,
there was no way. I don't think if they had scored us first, there's no way we would have probably made it through, because they were hard fighting. They were tactical. They did everything right. It's just the gods of football was just not in their favor, and I'm sorry for admitting it, but it's just the truth. I don't know. This is the same we played when we were the last game we played. It was the same struggle we had, the 2-1. Right. Just at the dying minute, we were just able to just squeeze by, and now we just were able to squeeze by. Yes. The Moroccans will not give us the same fight. They're going to give us a lot more
around them, and with this feeling of hosting to win.
Of course,
is what they have been singing since the beginning of the.
They're going to give us a lot more troubles. We need to really step up our game, and we need to be very, very careful. Of course, with the home advantage, playing in Casablanca, it's going to be tough on our boys. But I hope we have the mental fitness and the mental toughness to do what it takes to bring home that prize.
The Moroccans have scored 12 goals and conceded only 2 all through the competition. One of them was against Libya yesterday in extra time. To show you that the Libyans as well were prepared. They played very good football against Morocco.
They did.
But at the end, the home advantage, like you said, the Moroccans were able to endure longer. They got a little bit tired in the extra time, and the Moroccans capitalized on that and won the game 3-1. They'll be waiting for us on Sunday with all their crowd cheering, singing as if there is war songs that cheering.
It's like going straight into the lion's den. It's like going to try and take a trophy or try to take a piece of meat out of a lion's mouth. It's not going to be easy. So that's why I say our boys need to be mentally fit. We need to be mentally tough and prepared, because they will not give us any quarter.
This is our first ever finals in Chan. First time we're getting to the finals. I think that they will be in good spirit to believe in themselves that if they actually mean business, they can actually lift this trophy.
Yes.
For the first time in finals, and they should be able to lift it. So Coach Yusuf has done some good work. Some people came out to apologize that the team they took to Morocco was not the best team. But they are proving people wrong.
They're proving them wrong, exactly.
Even Oladele, the second keeper that came in, actually did well.
He did well.
We do have that backup. And the players I could see some teamwork there among them. They have communicated well within themselves. When the Sudanese were trying to penetrate the midfield, you see everybody trying to fall back to give that support to the midfield before launching. They attempted to use some counter-attacks where the Sudanese were smart enough to see if they could lock up the wings, and they did that until they collapsed, and we got that goal. So congratulations to the Super Eagles, the Chan Eagles out there in Morocco. We on the stadium identify with you, and we say congratulations.
We salute you.
We wish you good luck in the finals against Morocco. But you will start trekking today if you be able to.
a quick light jog.
Why it happened in Morocco and the Eagles are celebrating, it was not the same thing as Stamford Bridge. What happened?
No. It was something else. I mean, Bournemouth.
You guys take that game as a practice? Or?
I don't know. I think, I always preach about overconfidence, and I think maybe that was kind of the same thing that happened. They just, Chelsea walked in there. I mean, everybody was like, oh, it's a signed deal. It's the done deal. Chelsea's going to walk away with the 3 points. But obviously, Bournemouth came there with something to prove. They came there prepared, and they played a sloppy Chelsea. I will be the first to admit it. They played a sloppy Chelsea, and they walked away with a victory. They walked away with a well-deserved victory, so kudos to them.
It was a tough one, and we're talking about the instability at Stamford Bridge, the concern of Roman Abramovich and Antonio Conte's difficulty in signing during this January transfer window that just closed yesterday. Apart from being able to get Oliver Giroud, no major signing has been there. He was welcomed with such a defeat. He sat on the bench there watching the game and came out later to salute the fans and all that. Do you think he will add any value to this club when he starts playing eventually? Because
No, I mean, I think
considering his role in Arsenal, he was a super sub. Yes.
he was a super sub, and I think Morata needs that competition up front, and he also needs that support up front. Giroud is, he is a good player, and he has the ability to score goals. I mean, looking at his track record at Arsenal, and even before he left, even though he was relegated to the bench, anytime he stepped on the field, he was ready to put in a goal behind the net. He has the capability of doing that, and I think that over reliance on Morata is something that's needed. Of course, we needed to break that autonomy. We needed to break that chain, that cycle, which I think I applaud. I think it's something that should be applauded. It's a good buy. But Suarez moving out, he wasn't really giving the impact that I think Chelsea was looking for and the fans were looking for. So I think someone like Giroud, I think he's a good buy. To be honest, I think he's a good buy. It's just you also have to feel for Conte because
I think we do have a caller on the line. Let me try and see. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, Buchi and Peg.
Good evening, D1. How are you doing?
Thank you.
Yes.
Did I just hear Buchi say Oliver Giroud is a good buy?
Yes.
yes, D1. What? Waiting, Kilele. Ah.
It's a panic buy.
Panic buy, right?
From Peter Crouch to Andy Carroll to Oliver Giroud. Who is going to, when the ovation is at its loudest, I don't think Oliver Giroud can deliver. The reason I say this is that the greatest blunder that Conte made was to allow Masunda, that young guy, to go.
Yes, Masunda, yes.
Batshuayi to leave.
And then he gave Kennedy out on loan to Newcastle.
Yes. But then let's also note that some of these things are out of.
It's a wise thing for Chelsea to do this time around. So Oliver Giroud cannot do it for them. Champions League is there. And
Yes.
they have a true competition. We have the likes of Tottenham, Liverpool, Arsenal. They are coming up. They want to qualify for the Euro.
Yeah, that's true.
Competition come next season. And they don't get better players to prosecute it for them this time around. And in Chelsea, it is going to be a bad market for them because Oliver Giroud is not a player that is that reliable.
Yes.
He's a former Arsenal player.
Yes.
We know what it is. He's not our first team player. He always comes for the bench. Even when this guy from France is not playing very well for us, and we our new player is not playing well, we expect Oliver Giroud to even bench him once in a while. But because he's not that good, that is why he's sitting on the bench. So I think he's just taking solos. He just tries to use this one as a respite. I need Buchi.
Spoken like a true Arsenal fan.
Thank you, D1, for making that contribution. D1 says it's panic buy. You can be a part of this conversation by calling 081-8999-1011. But yesterday, Manchester United considered the fastest goal in the Premier League, 11 seconds.
11 seconds.
By your guy, Eriksen.
Yes.
What were they thinking on that pitch?
I don't even. That's
what
even.
a way to welcome Sanchez.
Well, exactly. What a way to welcome Sanchez.
And he was practically frustrated. Harry Kane rather became a defender by marking out Sanchez. Constantly, almost got booked.
He did. Yeah, that was true. I mean, Sanchez is, like we said, we've always said here, Sanchez is a good player. He's a very good player. Yes. And unfortunately, he didn't have the debut, of course, that he would have wanted, or even Mourinho would have wanted.
Mourinho was practically frustrated.
It was very frustrated. I mean, but then this is Tottenham we're talking about. Tottenham, this is a very dynamic team with a very strong forward. Yeah.
The game that they could use this game to actually boost their morale again to come.
True, exactly, to get back into it, and I think they did.
Dele Alli was there shining yesterday, and
of course, exactly.
Harry Kane never really played so much in the game.
I think he had one main focus, and that, of course, he just attached himself to Sanchez. It was like he just sort of glued himself to his hip to try and mark him at every point. I think it's an unfortunate welcome for Sanchez, but kudos to Tottenham. They actually came fully prepared. Yes. It is obvious. You could see that they came there with one sole mission, and they gave Manchester United no quarter and played played them and
it
won
seems
the
to me
match.
they play better when they meet top teams.
Yes,
when
they do.
Lower teams sometimes they struggle. They did that against Real Madrid. They've done that to.
And then you get to the lower teams, and then you start fumbling.
Also, yes.
I mean, this used to be Liverpool's swan song. It used to be Liverpool's swan song in the sense that they would play all the big four teams. They would play every big team and win. They would go to Europe and perform, and then when it comes to the lower teams, they would just fumble. I think that's also been the bane in their problem.
On the line. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Can you hear me? Good evening. Hello. It seems this person cannot hear me because of the ambience of where he is. Call us back on 08189991011. Manchester City won that game against West Brom. Clean victory. And
clean victory.
Gives them a lot of confidence on top of the team. Everton, Sam Allardyce is trying. Leicester City 2-1. Huddersfield Town lost to Liverpool. So it is quite a dicey time. The table is
exactly the beginning of the second part of the season, and everything's just going up and down in a seesaw.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to the stadium.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. This is the stadium. What's your name and where you're calling us from?
My name is Maurice, calling from Ducey.
Okay, Maurice. Well, make your contribution briefly.
Well done, guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I want Nigeria champions to go with one man.
Okay.
And we pray that as they are going there, God will be their strength.
Amen to that.
Because we are playing the host.
Yes.
And they will do everything possible to see that they clear the cup.
Of course.
But with God, I pray that they will come out victorious.
Okay.
Amen to that.
Thank you for that prayer, Maurice.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for calling. Of course, that's with that phone call. We'll wrap up the show. Details of other things will come up on the program tomorrow as the FA investigates comments made by West Ham's director of recruitment about signing African players. They're still investigating. He has been suspended already, so they're investigating. That's a racist tendency, and it's aimed at. He sent emails to other staff about signing African players. I wonder why that is so. But we'll give you details of that story as it's developing on the stadium tomorrow. Thanks to everybody who was part of this program, who made it possible. Thanks to Chike on the TriCasters, and thanks to Blessed on the server. But your final words before we wrap up.
We should like the final caller support our players.
Yes.
They are going to play in the finals on Sunday. Yes. Our thoughts and hearts and prayers are with them. We want them to bring home the trophy. Let's start off the new year with some victories. All
right, we start the new year with some victory. We're expecting that trophy to be back in Nigeria, and we'll have it right here on the table to celebrate with
to kiss it.
You're just so anxious to kiss this trophy. And that's a wrap for us. Until tomorrow evening again, join us on the stadium at the same time. Be blessed.